first race of the 2004 World Motorcycle Endurance season was going to be a battle for everyone against arguably the top endurance team of all time, the number 3 French Castrol Suzuki squad. The number 3 bike took the lead from the start of the 200 miles of Assen, but another French team, GMT 94, had risen to the challenge, and their Yamaha R1 chased the Suzuki number 3 down and took the lead at the midpoint of the race. As the other challengers dropped from contention, the GMT 94 Yamaha started to have troubles of its own, and the Castrol Suzuki once again took the lead, holding off GMT to take the first win of the year. Now the teams would go from a cold Assen track to the 30-degree heat of the subtropical Zhuhai circuit in the People's Republic of China. Zhuhai lies at the southern part of the Guangdong province at the southern edge of the Zhejiang Delta. Along the coast there are 140 islands, and it's called the Island City. The average temperature here is around 22 degrees and it's surrounded by mountains, and it's one of the most important ports in China for imports and exports, and is also one of China's favourite holiday destinations. The city is only 1 hour by high-speed ferry from Hong Kong and lies alongside the former Portuguese enclave of Macau, which is also famous for its annual Grand Prix. This will be the first time ever that a full World Championship motor racing event will be held in China, and the city of Zhuhai was determined to give the World Endurance teams an experience they would never forget. The city now has a contract to stage a round of the World Motorcycle Endurance Championship for the next 5 years, and was lit up in all its glory, and a spectacle that's never been seen before, with the Chinese people giving everyone a very warm welcome for their first World Endurance race. The first ever World Championship motorcycle racing event in the People's Republic of China has been in development for well over a year, with FG Sport Group and Zongshen Group working together with the government, the CMSA and the Zhuhai circuit to stage the first ever FIM homologated World Endurance motor racing event there. China has invested heavily in the infrastructure needed to stage world-class motor racing events, with the building of not only the Zhuhai track, but also world-class facilities in Shanghai and Beijing. With a population of around 1.25 billion people, the People's Republic of China is one of the world's largest motorcycle markets, and the huge audiences in China have been following the exploits of the Zongshen World Endurance team over the past few years, and were eagerly awaiting their first appearance of the 2002 World Champions at their home event. Local teams from the surrounding area had also entered the event and were looked upon with a lot of respect by the permanent teams, with many riders commenting that, given full 1000cc bikes instead of the 600cc machines that they had entered, the Chinese teams will be an even more serious threat. Unlike in most other countries around the world, in China the motorcycling manufacturers have a long history of working together and not in competition with each other. In fact, at a press conference at the track, the 4 major Chinese manufacturers, Zongshen of the Zongshen Industrial Group, Run Tangye of Guangzhou Kawai Auto Industrial, Zhang Jianhui of Jinan Qingqi and Panghai of Yuan Group, sat together in front of the world's press, something that would never happen anywhere else in the world. As a result of this cooperation, Europe has already become the biggest market so far this year for Chongqing motorcycles, who are also intending to go racing on the world stage in future. It was also announced that an agreement had been reached between Zongshen and the Italian giant Piaggio, with Piaggio responsible for marketing and Zongshen for production. And there were also rumours of yet another alliance in the near future with a major American motorcycle manufacturer. As for racing, Zongshen has stated publicly that they'll be fielding their own machines in world-class competition within the next 5 years, and they already have a well-regarded 750 V-twin with a 1000cc 4-cylinder machine undergoing final development. As this was the first time everybody had gone to China, the organisation of what to take and how to get it there was a new experience for everybody. The logistics of moving an entire World Championship race around the world is not new for many countries, but for China it will be another first, and many of the teams will be living out of packing crates for nearly 2 weeks. The question of what to bring and what to leave at home was on everyone's minds, and for many teams the experience was so new that even the paperwork they needed just didn't exist. Kawasaki Endurace Germany team manager Thomas Ross said, "We're a very experienced team in endurance racing with over 7 years experience. We know very well what we need to take for racing. Our problem was that with the 1,000 kilogram limit we had, it was very difficult to take everything we needed for 2 motorcycles." Our Chamber of Commerce also said that we couldn't take the bikes over for sport purposes because those agreements didn't exist yet. Therefore, we had to bring everything over under a declaration for exhibitions.
So mussten wir das Ganze als Messegut deklarieren, es überhaupt nach China zu bringen.
Qualifying for the race was held over 2 sessions for each rider on the Saturday before the race. At Zhuhai, even the local Chinese teams didn't have much of an advantage and were learning the track for the first time alongside the permanent teams. Endurance Moto 38 rider Gwen Giovanni had adapted well to the new Yamaha R1 after riding the Suzuki last year, and the team's fastest rider qualified the bike in 3rd place.
The third did a very great job this time again, and Vincent Philippe was very, very fast again. So the gap with us and the Suzuki is still the same. Now it looks to be closer with GMT. Our goal today is maybe to get closer for the GMT, but we don't know yet exactly how it will happen. GMT is only 2 riders, we have 3 riders, so maybe we could benefit of it. And we have to see what happens on 6 hours, because I think it's going to be very hard because the weather is pretty tough.
Once again, as at Assen, it was GMT 94 that were the closest challengers in qualifying to the Castrol Suzuki team. They were less than 0.3 of a second in front of Moto 38, but over a second behind the flying Suzuki.
We try to improve the result in the race. It means win the race, but we don't know. We don't know because it's 6 hours race and the tires go so well, the bike goes so well, but the problem is not too much time to work, you know. And Le Mans, it's 1.5 months with the bike, and then no time in the middle of the races to develop the bike. Here we find a little parts that goes better for the race, sure. Not for fast lap, but for all the rhythm for the race faster. And we try to push Suzuki to win.
But again, it was the Frenchman Vincent Philippe who headed qualifying for the first race in China with a time of 1 minute 35.067 seconds.
Yeah, it's the first time for everybody, so we have a lot of work on the bike, but now, yeah, today is better, much better. So for tomorrow we need to adjust for the tire, rear tire, because it's very hot. But no, I think I'm very confident. We made some good tests today, so yeah, the race for sure it will be a big fight with Yamaha 94. So maybe it's very close.
Behind the top 3, it was Zongshen with Mertens, Bonoy and Van Stein in 4th, Honda Austria in 5th, and the second Zongshen bike with Bontempi and Noland in 6th, with current world champions in 7th place. The Zhuhai track is a very fast and physically demanding 4.3 kilometres, and we got Zongshen rider Warwick Noland to show us around.
Here we are on the start-finish straight, and this is Zhuhai, and this first corner you can see behind me is a very crucial corner. 2nd gear, the acceleration out of here is vital for a good lap time, because the next series of corners determines a good lap time for sure, because it's 4th gear, fast corner, then hard braking again, back onto another straight, 4th gear, another very fast corner, you back off just a little bit, then into another hairpin corner, very hard on the brakes, again out of that 1st gear, it's up to 5th gear onto the next straight, through 2 left-hand corners, and then onto another straight, down into a hairpin again. This corner is also very, very important for a good lap time. You must exit really, really cleanly, no tyre spin, nothing like that. Everyone's having trouble. Out of that corner onto the last straight, before probably the most important corner on the track, the final corner onto the start-finish straight, 3rd or 4th gear corner through here, and if you can get through that corner very cleanly and have good corner speed, then you're going to do a good lap time.
The first ever race in Zhuhai was run on a street circuit in 1993, but the current track was completed in 1996 to Formula 1 standard and upgraded again in 1999. As this was the very first World Championship event of the track, all the local officials were out in force, along with Zongshen of the Zongshen Industrial Group. There were many Chinese traditions to observe as well, including a Chinese band that was intended to scare away unfriendly ghosts and lion dancers to bring good luck. This was turning out to be a very hot May the 2nd, and the demanding nature of the Zhuhai track would test the teams, the bikes and the tyres to the limit. In the morning warm-up sessions, the Benelli X1 number 2 team had blown their engine and had only a few hours to change it, but were on the grid for the start using the engine they had from the Assen race. Honda Austria number 5 also had problems when their wiring loom caught fire in the warm-up, and that had to be replaced. The local Ducati Hong Kong 999 number 29 cracked their exhaust and did some emergency welding. Mike Edwards, riding for the Diablo 666 team, had tested the depth of the volcanic ash that was used in the gravel traps, and Phase 1 number 3 had discovered some extra speed from somewhere and finished the warm-up in 4th place. As the crowd joined in the countdown to the start, the riders were eager to get things started. In this case, too eager. After a somewhat ragged start, the Castrol Suzuki number 3 got away in the lead, with many bikes and riders unsure of what was going on. Irvin Wilding on the Honda Austria number 5 was left on the start line trying to get the engine started until he found that the kill switch had been left on, and he eventually got away in last place. Castrol Suzuki's Vincent Philippe was taking the first relay for the CERT team and was already trying to stretch the gap over Gwen Giovanni on the Moto 38 Yamaha and David Checker on the GMT 94 machine, with the Alps Motorcycles Kawasaki number 34, Phase 1 and Yamaha Austria all giving chase. The first casualty of the race even before the end of the first lap, and it was the local wildcard D-Team Yamaha R1 number 24 down in the gravel. But it was clear that the start had to be taken again. With the crowd shouting the countdown in Chinese, apparently one of the numbers sounded like go, and that caused the jump start. Back to the pits and checking everything over and refueling the bikes to do a complete restart, including the warm-up laps. The X1 Benelli team had more problems and had to remove the bike from the first grid to do some work on their clutch and possibly start from pit lane, but they'd be back on the grid for the restart. The race restart was scheduled for 12:26 in the afternoon, and it would still be a full 6-hour race. The riders would have to sweat it out and stand on the track in full leathers once again in the 32-degree heat. The restart, and this time's no problems, but it wasn't the Castrol Suzuki number 3 that got away first this time. Both they and close rivals GMT 94 were left on the grid, would have to fight their way through the pack. It was Irvin Wilding on the Honda Austria number 5 that got to the first corner ahead of everyone else, chased by 2003 World Champions Phase 1 with Sebastian Scarnato on board, with the two Zongshen Suzukis in 3rd and 4th places. Moto 38 and Yamaha Austria number 7, along with the Bollinger number 8, had also got away well, but the Castrol Suzuki number 3 would finish the first lap in 7th place, with their rivals GMT 94 down in 12th. The first few corners were navigated safely, but already Sebastian Scarnato was chasing the Honda Austria bike hard. The extra speed the Phase 1 had found in the morning warm-up giving him confidence to push the HRC-kitted Honda Fireblade to the limit, forcing a mistake to let the world champions through into the lead. But that mistake had also led through Stefan Mertens on the Zongshen number 81 Suzuki, and the Belgian rider wanted desperately to lead at the team's home race. And it didn't take long before Mertens was able to get to the front. The first corner of the second lap, and Mertens took the lead. But right behind him, Irvin Wilding had spun up the rear tyre on the number 5 Honda and crashed out, leaving the rider in the middle of the track and trying to dodge the oncoming machines. At the front, the battle was still on between Zongshen and Phase 1, with Giovanni on the Moto 38 Yamaha in 3rd and Vincent Philippe on the Castrol Suzuki, who'd carved up to 4th place. Sebastian Scarnato was still trying everything he knew to try to regain the lead for Phase 1. Then another casualty, Australian Matt Patterson on the Hong Kong Ducati number 29, which would restart the race, only to retire a few laps later with blocked fuel injectors from the debris picked up in the gravel trap. By lap 5, the Phase 1 Yamaha had retaken the lead, with CERT's Vincent Philippe also passing the number 81 Zongshen bike, and the Castrol Suzuki was now pushing hard for the lead. The GMT 94 Yamaha was just behind Moto 38 in 5th place, and both GMT 94 and Castrol Suzuki were starting to assert their authority. Although the Phase 1 Yamaha had found some extra speed, it wasn't enough to hold off the Castrol Suzuki, and it wasn't long before Vincent Philippe took the lead. The battle for second place was still on between Phase 1 and the Zongshen number 81, but GMT 94 had now passed Moto 38 to go fourth, and the Castrol Suzuki has stretched its lead by lap 9 to over 3 seconds. Lap 11 and Spain's David Checker on the GMT 94 was now in third place. Both the GMT 94 Yamaha and the Castrol Suzuki were by now doing laps of around 1 minute 37 seconds, and that's almost up to qualifying pace. The very next lap, lap 12, and Scarnato just can't hold off Checker's charge anymore. The Spaniard is on a mission, and his only target was the fast disappearing Castrol Suzuki. Sad news for the Honda Austria team that crashed on lap 1. They rejoined the race only to suffer more problems.
Now the gearbox, the fourth gear, go everything out, and we say we name no risk. When the gearbox is broken, maybe the engine breaks, and we're on the 21 place, and it's okay, we finished the race, it's better for this.
The local riders were in a race of their own when the Castrol Suzuki caught and lapped them, but the well-crowned Manly TAT Yamaha number 23 and the 31 Jiling ROTH Kawasaki were both 600cc machines and will pose no problem to the CERT bike, which by lap 19 has stretched the gap over second place GMT 94 to 5 seconds, with the Zongshen number 81 14 seconds behind the leader. But sad news for the Works Benelli X1 team. Rider PAOLO TESSARI bringing the bike into the pits and walking away from it, which suggested that the problem was terminal.
This morning we have checked the new engine, and after the practice we prefer use the old engine. Problem is that after 20 laps we have broken the gearbox. Problem with the gear, so I prefer retiring.
Time for the first round of pit stops, but this is Moto 38's second stop already. Rider Gwen Giovanni had to come in after 10 laps because he wasn't wearing ventilated leathers and was so hot he nearly passed out. But there was time to recover as his teammates did their relays. It was William Cost now on the GMT 94 Yamaha and still in second place, keeping in touch with the Castrol Suzuki, but teammate David Checker was blaming himself for his slow start.
Second start, the bike don't start, don't switch on, and it was so difficult to pass people, and to take the first place was so long. And I hope it's 6 hours race, we will do the best to improve this second place. You never know.
Less than 2 hours into the race, and just after Bruno Bonoy had brought in the number 81 bike to change a rear wheel because of a broken bearing, PIERGIORGIO BONTEMPI brought the number 19 Zongshen Suzuki into the pits after only 1 lap on his relay, and it was clear that the clutch was smoking badly. The mechanic soon had the unit dismantled and found the problem. One of the clutch plates had disintegrated.
When they restart again, for the check which is the problem, my clutch is coming slipping. And when I stop again, the mechanic take out the carter for the engine, and see the first disc is broken, and the material come inside of the gearbox. It's not possible. It's continuing for us.
But the other Zongshen bike with riders Piero Lerad Van Stein, Bruno Bonoy and Stefan Mertens was still racing hard, trying to make up time lost after Bonoy stopped because of a failed rear wheel bearing. They dropped from third down to 8th, but with a strong fight back would see themselves regain third place by the 4th hour of the race. The Castrol Suzuki still led, with GMT 94 still second, but third was hotly contested between Zongshen, the Bollinger number 8 Kawasaki, Moto 38 Yamaha and the Yamaha Austria number 7. The race was proving very hard on men and machinery. In 10th place, the number 51 Fabicorse Suzuki was not only having brake problems, but also overworking its tyres. Team manager and rider Patricio Fabi explains.
Niente,
Patricio said we're having brake problems because we're using standard brakes, and because of this we've got to do a pit stop to change the pads. Also because of this our pit stop was rather long. Because of technical problems we can't use competition brakes. With high track temperatures and high humidity, the riders took whatever steps they could to keep cool. The heat also taking its toll on the tyres. At around 150 degrees, tyres start to lose their tread, and even drinking energy drinks can cause problems, as Zongshen Stefan Mertens explains.
A little problem after a few laps. I think I drink a little bit too much before going, and it went out, and with sugar because it's a special drink, of course. And I couldn't see very well anymore.
So with less than an hour to go, the fight was still on for third place, with Zongshen number 81 chased by the Yamaha Austria number 7 in fourth, the Bollinger Kawasaki number 8 in fifth, and Moto 38 Yamaha in sixth, with those places changing lap by lap. The GMT 94 Yamaha was 3 laps ahead of this battle, but still 1 lap down on the Castrol Suzuki number 3, which had led since lap 6. With less than half an hour to go, the Phase 1 number 1 Yamaha was in the pits. Problems with their clutch forcing them to wait it out and rejoin the race for the final few laps. Problems also for the Kawasaki Endurance Germany number 21, smoking badly with a suspected blown engine, kindly pointed out to them by Castrol Suzuki's Vincent Philippe. Less than 20 minutes to go, and just what GMT 94 didn't need. They had invested in Formula 1 technology with the new refuelling rig, and it had got stuck in the tank. They had 3 laps in hand over third place, but the 2 laps lost fixing the problem seemed to cost them any chance of a win. But the race wasn't over yet. Olivier Faure was on the lead in Castrol Suzuki, having just left the pits with a full fuel load and fresh tyres when this happened. Olivier was okay, but the bike was in pieces. The team hadn't seen what happened on the monitors and were wondering where their Suzuki was. Team manager Dominique Mayant couldn't believe their bad luck.
I don't know, I lost the front, I don't know why. It was my first lap. I was normal, 10 miles less than the other laps, and I lose the front, I don't know why.
And with less than 3 minutes to go, the CERT mechanics worked like demons to get the number 3 back on track before the end of the race. They managed it, but the team had lost 7 laps, which put them down in 6th place and handed the win to GMT 94 Yamaha. As the number 94 crossed the line for the win, rider David Checker still had no idea that the team had won the race. But team manager Christophe Guillot was ecstatic in the pit lane and fielding congratulations from all quarters. Even in Parc Fermé, Checker still thought he was second. So, an unexpected but well-deserved race win for GMT 94, who also set the fastest lap, with Zongshen inheriting second place and Moto 38 just edging out the Bollinger number 8 Kawasaki by 0.004 of a second to claim the final podium position. And on the podium to celebrate third place, Jean-Claude Clapeyron's Endurance Moto 38 team had every reason to celebrate.
We didn't expect this place, till mid-race we see that we were about 5, 6. For us it was very hard to catch back the third place, so we didn't expect this result, so now we are very happy.
Second place for Zongshen with the number 81 Suzuki was equally unexpected, but a great result for Michael Marketon's Chinese-sponsored team.
I'm very happy for Michel Marketon, of course, and his wife, Lynn. They did a fantastic job, and I'm happy to give them this present of this podium.
That's good. But for team manager Christophe Guillot, this win is something that he feels he deserves after all the hard work that the team have put in. Rider Willem Kost still couldn't believe their luck.
It was unbelievable because we just met one problem before, and we was thinking about this problem, and we watched the TV, and we were in front. It was incredible.
This result now means that GMT 94 lead the World Championship by 10 points in front of Castrol Suzuki, and the two third places from Endurance Moto 38 confirm they're third in the title race. Zongshen in fourth will only be contesting one other race at Suzuka. The celebrations that started on the podium will continue well into the night before thinking about the third round, the 12 Hours of Albacete in June. But the first ever World Endurance race in China saw a wonderful welcome from the Chinese people and looks set over the next few years to become one of the biggest events in the race calendar, and one that will be eagerly awaited by teams and race fans alike.